Good morning, everybody. Welcome to sunny Florida in January. By the way, Happy New Year. We're at Top Sail RV Resort. Beautiful place. I'm sure many of you have been there. Well, today we're going to simply show you how I set up my RV when I get to my site. Now we're looking for site number 74. Okay, there it is right there. All right, it's pretty. We're going to get set up and I'm going to show you how I do it. Let's go. All right, so the first thing I always do is I look for overhead obstructions. Everything looks good. You can use your cell phones to communicate, or you can use a spotter, which I have Brenda set up on my left side toward the rear. She's using hand signals and using her arms and not her fingers, so we can see each other a lot better. So she's giving me the coming straight on back. Everything's looking good. She wants me over to the left a little bit. I'm doing that. Coming straight on back. We just went, oh, all right, I'm stopped. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna stop and then we're moving to the next part. All right, so the first thing you wanna do before you do any leveling, letting your slides out, anything, you wanna check your power on your power box. So we are 30 amp, okay? First thing I want to make sure is all your circuit breakers are off. And then I go down and I'll look inside the 30 amp receptacle, and that actually looks brand new. Over here you have your 50 amp receptacle. And if you ever come in and your 30 amp is bad, it's black inside, it's cracked around here, you're just not getting a good connection, get one of these. It's a 50 amp to 30 amp adapter. You can plug it in right here and then plug in your power. Now what I have here is called an EMS, Electrical Management System. This is the best investment you'll ever make. It's over about $300 to $500, I think. This is a 30 amp, but I always plug this in first. No load. And then I'm gonna turn on the 30 amp power, and you'll see down here, it'll go through a check. It's 60 Hertz, no errors. We're putting out 119 volts, which is important because some of these actually would go down into the 90s, which is bad for your air conditioning and all your electronics. So it runs through a self-test, 120 volts, 0 amps drawn, 60 Hertz, which is what you want, and no errors. So when we plug in our house power to this, it's going to be about a 2-minute delay before you get power into your RV. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, we know we got good power here. So our next step is going to be to level the RV and do our hookups. Let's do that. Okay, so the next step is to get this rig level. And whether you have a motor home, a pull behind, a fifth wheel, I can tell you this thing right here has been a great help for me. They're called Anderson levelers. If you know your side is way off level, you can use these to get a little extra adjustment for your hydraulic jacks. Now, as you notice, I can set it on the floor and I look, and that's just sitting there on the site with nothing being done. So we're pretty level, so I'm just gonna plant these levelers just to stabilize the vehicle. So I always do it manually. So to do that, I just go up and it says manual level, enter to begin. I press enter, and then I can go ahead and first drop my front as they go down. And when I feel them touch, I raise it up just a little bit, then I know they're down, and then I'll do my rear. Same thing. And we're there on the money. Easy, it doesn't overextend the RV, so it makes getting in and out your steps a lot quicker and safer. That part's done. Now it's time to put the slides out. Okay, now on this model, I have 2 slides, and they're both on the left side. One's a deep slide and one's a shallow slide. But before I let my slides out, I make sure I have everything hooked up so I don't bang my head on it. Now, as you notice right here, I have not hooked up my sewer, because on this rig, again, I had this big old hole right here that my pipe would hook up to. And if I left it connected all the time, it would allow critters to get inside of my RV. So you can hook it up if yours comes out down here and leave it hooked up, but I do not recommend pulling that gray and leaving it open, and I'll tell you why. Because a good healthy septic system will have what's called sewer flies, and they can get into your RV if you leave your gray dump valve open all the time. So that's just a big owl tip for you right there. But here's another tip. When you get to the campsite, have one of these already pre-made. It tells you exactly how far your slide is going to come out. That's for the full slide, and the little zip tab I have right there is for my shallow slide. So you'll always know exactly how far your slide is going to come out. Alrighty, and here's another bonus tip. On every hose that goes into your RV, squirt it with some home defense or whatever you can find there. On that, do it on your jacks and do it around your tires. That way you'll never have ants or any other kind of bugs getting into your RV. Alrighty guys, so I know I've covered a lot of information, so I'm just going to give you a little list and we're going to recap everything real quick to wrap up this video. The first thing we talked about was using levelers. The Anderson levelers or the Lynx levelers, which are the square little plastic boxes that you just stack on. So you can do that. Coming back to our power, you really need to get some type of electrical management system to monitor your electricity at these campgrounds. That'll protect everything inside your RV. And again, you can always use, if you're on 30 amp, of course, you can always use this 50 amp to 30 amp adapter in case that receptacle's bad. On your water hose, of course, you want to use a RV grade water hose, and always get a regulator on there. I like this style right here because it's adjustable. Most of the time the pressure is at 40, but you do not want it to go over 60. 40 to 55 is ideal pressure. And when I got to the campground, this is how I found my coax. And see the connection on there. So I recommend that you get some of these. That's a female to female adapter, and that's how I was able to connect it over to my RV, okay? All right, let's talk about the fun stuff. Your sewer hose. Get rid of the one that comes with your RV, and I would recommend the Rhino Flex, a 20-footer. It comes with the bayonet connectors. It gives you a nice secure connector. It comes with a 90-degree L and a screw in for your drain. The new ones actually have a clear elbow instead of the white, so you can see when everything's dumped. And then a big owl tip. When you get ready to dump, pull your gray first, just for a few seconds, and make sure there's no leaks, and then push it back in, and you can dump your black. And again, I know I'm going to get some flack about this because of the sewer flies we talked about earlier. I don't know how they're getting into people's RVs, but one guess is they're leaving their black valve open. They're coming up into here, going up into your black tank, and then somebody does what's called a dry flush without having the water on, and it opens that valve. And that is the only valve that I know of that does not have a P-trap in it. So maybe they're getting into the RV that way. But anyway, just keep your valves closed until you're ready to dump. Always keep a spare extra 10 feet in your bumper in case you need it. That gives you some flexibility there. As far as your water hose, I get about 25 feet, get 2 of those. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up this video on how to set up your RV at the campground. I hope it was beneficial and helpful to you. And remember, like and subscribe. And until next time, safe travel, folks.